Sometimes you meet people in your life that just want to make you do more. Today on Success is the New Black, we have a treat. I'm talking entrepreneur, activist, groundbreaker, trailblazer, Jewel Thice-Williams, and C. Fitz of the documentary Jewel's Catch One: One Woman, One City, No Fear, 42 Years. Stay tuned. Hello, and we are back again for another episode of Success is the New Black. I'm your host, one of your hosts, Tara Johnson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at TJ Wagging Her Tail, and I am super excited today, and I know my lovely co-host is also. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ashida Onrae at Ashida Onrae on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So sometimes you meet someone, you have this encounter, and you listen to what they're doing with their lives, and you go, wait a minute, am I not doing enough? When I met this woman, when I read her story, I was blown away by everything that she's doing and everything that she's continuing to do. And she's here today. We have Jewel Thice-Williams with us today. Hello, Jewel.
Hi, Tara.
How you doing?
Hi. Welcome.
And we have this documentary that captures so far what she's done with her life, and that we're going to give that credit to director and producer C. Fitz. Fitz is here today too.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for being here. This is a powerful combination, these two ladies, I want to tell you. And I could tell you everything about the documentary, but I can show you better than I can tell you. So let's run a little clip of this wonderful documentary. Here we go. Okay, so a couple times we have technical difficulties. It happens. Totally fine. So if you're in Los Angeles, put it this way, if you know anything about Studio 54 in New York, you might have wondered, was there ever a LA version of that? And I can tell you, yes, there was. It's Catch One, and it was opened by Jewel herself. So let me ask you, are we ready for the trailer? Oh, see, there we go. Technology pops in exactly when it's supposed to, so let's run that trailer now.
For 4 decades, Catch One was a legendary Los Angeles nightclub. It was an institution where celebrities, politicians, and everyday people of all colors, cultures, and backgrounds converged. The Catch came to be known as the unofficial Studio 54 of the West Coast.
The bangingest music.
You came here prepared to dance.
I danced in this club in jock straps with cowboy boots.
I would go in there and dance, and everyone would leave me alone.
It's a fat club and it's a fat neighborhood.
Catch was created to fulfill a need. At the time that we opened, mid-1970s, there was still an abundance of racism. The Catch offered a place where any and everybody could come.
We've encountered a lot of racism in our days, you know. They throw things at us.
I'm Jewel Thice-Williams. I wear lots and lots of hats.
She started off with 4 strikes. Not only was she poor, not only was she a woman, she was a lesbian, and on top of that, a black woman.
If we could find everybody that she's inspired, they would be lined up for blocks and blocks and blocks across the city.
The 4 businesses operated under the Village Health Foundation are the Village Health Clinic, the Vegan Village Internet Cafe, the Village Manor, and the Catch One nightclub. And the special part is that no one is turned away.
You had people who wouldn't touch people with AIDS. They wouldn't go to your club if there was AIDS-related people in there.
Young men in the backyard of the Catch One, some were ill, didn't know where they were going to sleep. Jewel was the person who was trying to take care of all of them, giving them a place to come.
The cops coming into my place night after night with their rifles and things drawn. I said, when are you guys going to stop harassing me?
Their whole point was to instill fear and intimidation against the gay community, and especially the black gay community.
Jewel's much more an icon and a hero than any celebrity.
What are you going to do next, Jewel?
See, I told you I could show you better than I could tell you. Jewel, what are you going to do next? Honestly, to watch this and to talk to you, it really does make me sit back and go, okay, wait, there's just more I could possibly do. Starting a business, and he said it, you had 4 strikes against you. What made you still say, this just has to be done? Like, this is what I want to do?
I guess 4 strikes was not enough. I hadn't struck out. So I kept going. Incentive, first and foremost, from my parents, my family. And in the African tradition, have to honor their ancestors also, for just giving me the willingness. And that's the key, I think, to every successful story, is to be willing and putting the what I call the 2 P's to work, and that's patience and perseverance, and understanding that there was no promise that life was going to be easy. So, and also the old adage about the strong surviving ran true, I felt, and I watched my parents do it with very little education and very little money, and 6 siblings, in a 1-bedroom, 2-room house. And it was always their idea for all of us to succeed. And in order to do that, we had to stay on path and never give up.
In a nightclub, though, right?
4 decades.
4 decades.
4 decades.
I know.
That's 2 years.
Just think about one.
Right.
It's like times 4. Wow.
We hear people every day who are they so want to start their own business and don't know how to get started. Did you take a course? Did you have someone in your life who had been an entrepreneur before? I mean, what told you I can do this, even if you didn't have anything and had the 4 strikes?
Well, I had relatives when I was growing up that had their own businesses. One was a mechanic, and several were carpenters, so they had some independence about their work too. And then one of my uncles owned a neighborhood grocery store, and I started working there every other Sunday when I was 9 years old. And prior to that, I had helped my mom and relieved some of my aunts when they went on vacation, and they were they call them domestic engineers now, but they cleaned house, and so I would fill in for them during the summer, and I just always felt that the way out into the independence that I felt in my heart was that I had to have my own business one day. And so starting in my uncle's store, like I said, at 9, and then I never stopped working after that. And it was the only way that we were taught that we would come out of it wasn't a ghetto to us, it was home.
Right.
And so was to work hard, and you had to super achieve in order to stand out, from the masses, and especially stand out from the majority population.
So you mentioned having people in your life who are, own businesses. You mentioned being a domestic engineer. I like that name a lot. A mechanic. But when I think of a nightclub owner, when I think of nightclub promoters, honestly, I think of men. So all the businesses that you could start, why a nightclub?
Well, there was a reason behind how I got there too. And prior to that, my first business was a women's boutique, and I had that for about 3 years, and then a recession came along. And it's typical for most women when there's a recession for them to stop doing for themselves sacrificing their hairdos and going to the nail shop and buying, fresh outfits to wearing last season's and doing their own hair and polishing their own nails and toes. And so I thought about it. I said, I really need a recession-proof business because, my life goes on regardless of whether there's a recession or who's buying or who's not. So I talked to one of my brothers who owned a couple of liquor stores, and he said, well, why don't you get a liquor store, Jewel? I said, oh, no, man, I couldn't do that. It's too impersonal. But it did wake up the thought in my mind about that bar that was right across the street from the supermarket that I worked at, that my customers would come in sometimes and complain about not being able to drink at this little corner neighborhood bar. And I had this fleeting thought, and when I say fleeting, I hadn't thought about it for all those years since then, 4 or 5 years later. I had promised myself then, I said, one of these days I'll own that club and everybody will be able to come.
Look at that.
And so I went about doing all kinds of other things to make a living, including opening the dress shop. And one night, after I had closed the shop, which was kind of typical for the previous days before, when I would get the LA Times newspaper, go to the business section, look for a club or bar, and go out, make an appointment, go out to see it. And so this one night I'd gone out to check a club, and I had to drive past what would become the Catch One. It was the Diana Club's Inn. And I looked at the spot that I had checked in the newspaper, came back looking for some for sale signs on either side of the building. Nothing happening, right? So I get back to my shop, and I said, well, let me see where I'll go tomorrow. So I opened up the paper, and there it was. So needless to say, I didn't sleep that night, waiting until the next morning when I could call and find out when the owner was going to be there, so I could go in. And I had already knew that it was mine, because this was one of the things that I'd done, pretty much throughout my adult life, was if you want something, then you just kind of claim it, and you envision yourself in it and doing it. And so while I was waiting for it to the owner to come, I just went outside and walked around and kind of claimed it for myself. And she came in and made the deal. She was the wife of the previous owner to me, and made the deal. And as I was walking out, a guy from a neighboring bar was walking in, and so by the time I got back to my dress shop, she called me and she said, he just came in and offered me twice as much as you're willing to pay. Can I take the deal? I said, sorry. No, that's mine.
Yeah, I've already claimed it.
Already been inside. And you were talking about men. You think of men owning it. This was 1973, and in the state of California, unless you own the bar, a woman could not tend bar. California law.
In California?
California.
So imagine what it must have been in all the other states, if that's what it was in California.
Right. And there was no way then I could have experience in tending bar, and I wasn't that fly either that I would hang out at bars enough to know what was going on. So it was a bit of a challenge at first.
Yeah, her bartender quit, so she had to fill in.
You had to
with
fill
no
in.
Experience.
Yeah.
No
Yeah, he said that he couldn't work for me, because I was black.
Yep.
Wow. I'm fascinated.
Yeah.
I guess the thing is you were catching opposition from every side, right? You mentioned in the clip how the cops were coming and raiding you. There was even a time that your club burned down.
Yes, arsoned. to be exact.
Arson, to be exact. Even after that, and we talked about it before, the average time for any business to stay, 3 years in this day and age, if you can stay in business for 3 years, they consider your business a success. So with all those things happening to you, why continue to keep it going for 42 years? You could have stopped at year 10, 15. You could have done 25 and been like, I got 25 years under my belt. I am good. What about keeping it going for that long?
The inner voice just said, you don't quit, you don't give up, and you leave on your own terms, no matter what the business situation is or whatever. You're here until you get ready to go. And I was determined to stay there. And in addition, one of the other motivating reasons was that in addition to my club being burned down, there were some other fires under suspicion, origin, that were namely black businesses and that. And once the club had closed, and even prior to that for a couple of years, there had been a changeover in the neighborhood where blacks were moving in. And I was the last black, and I was determined to be there until I got ready. And I didn't like the idea of, my then business neighbors had been burned out, some of them, and some of them were forced out in other ways. Some of them were bought out, and after the fire, this was offered to me too, was whatever you name the price for it, and I just wouldn't go. I couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't.
It's like tweetable moments. Okay, I've got the 2 P's, patience and perseverance. We were talking about getting T-shirts for that.
Yeah.
It's listen to the inner voice.
Yes.
And then if you see it, you gotta claim it. That's big.
Yes.
And then also you gotta listen to the inner voice, and you just gotta stick it out until the time the inner voice tells you it's time to go. Right?
Right.
Until you're ready.
And I wanted to, I really wanted to pass it on to another black or African American person or company or whatever, and that was another thing that motivated me to hang in there, trying to find that buyer.
Right.
And it didn't happen,
but your voice, inner voice.
We did. Yeah.
So Fitz, you meet this. I'm talking to this dynamic woman, and I can understand completely. But you meet Jewel. What was it about her and her story that made you say, I've got to make this documentary for the world to see?
Yeah, there's nothing there really. There's no story like this, especially one that covers 4 decades. It's lost history almost, especially from Los Angeles, and just had to do it. I mean, not only is it the history of Los Angeles, but it's about one woman, what she did. And just looking at her life, if you watch the documentary, you end up just saying, oh my gosh, I can do so much more tomorrow in my own neighborhood, in my own life, for my own self. And we're talking about being an entrepreneur. If you watch her life and her story, she not only created the club, but then she created the nonprofit health clinic. At a time when it was needed, she created a vegan restaurant. And when I first met her, she was running all 3 of those on that corner in Los Angeles. It was incredible. And then you have all the history of the celebrities that were there, the lives that she's touched through the clinic, the lives that she saved, the jobs that she gave. Just it's incredible. And we just had to make the documentary. And fortunately, she allowed me to follow her around for a few years to do it.
It was a few more than a few years, right?
Yeah.
So how did you guys meet?
I met her. She was winning an award, and I donated my time to do a 2-3 minute piece on her.
Mm-hmm.
And I love music. I love disco. I love going clubbing, and she owned this big club. I was really excited, and I'm reading the Cliff Notes. I met her in the clinic that day, and my head was spinning. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm gonna fit a 2-3 minute piece together about your life and all that you've done. I mean, the trailer doesn't cover it. There's so many organizations she co-founded and created, and shelter for women with AIDS and their kids during the AIDS crisis, and all the lives that she touched. And anyway, when I first met her, I just said, we have to do a documentary on your life, because there isn't any history out there like it. It's hidden history, and she's a huge hero and a huge voice that just needs to be heard.
And Jewel, did you think Fitz was crazy when she said to you, I want to make this doc? You were like, what?
She was like, here, have some green juice. And I was like, oh no. Like, I don't drink green juice.
They used to make 4 documentaries then with that stuff, because it works.
She was like, clear your mind, get some green
That's
juice,
right.
clear your mind. And it took you how long to make we're used to like movies coming out the next year, so how long did it take you?
6 years. So
Wow.
5 years, and we shot all 6 years, and then a year of post within that 6 years. It was a lot, and there's a lot of great music in it as well, and hopefully, you know, we'll get distribution. We'll be able to show it to the world. We've had a great 8-9 months on the film festival circuit all over, which has been wonderful for us. I think beyond our wildest dreams, and really receptive, great audiences, and some awards, and it's really been amazing because we do want to teach with it. We do want to educate with it, and hopefully we'll be able to.
I love it.
No, it's an amazing story. So you had the club, and the club was, they say unofficially, but I won't say officially, named the Studio 54 of Los Angeles. So you have this club that's banging club, and people are coming, and you're known all over. Madonna even had like a CD release party there, right? So you have this club that's amazing. What then makes you say, okay, now I'm going to split my time in multiple different ways, even though there's still 24 hours in my day? There may be a couple extra in your day.
There is.
Now I'm going to do, I'm going to start a clinic where I'm helping people with acupuncture and homeopathic medicine, sometimes for free, because it's a nonprofit. I'm also going to start a vegan cafe. I'm still going to have my women's boutique. I mean, how did you do all of that?
Every day. Wake up in the morning with it, and go to bed at night. But my folks again, there was no such thing as leisure time with them. So I grew up with that spirit of just filling every moment with something, and they were also very generous people, despite the fact that we didn't have. They would share the toys that the Goodwill gave us for Christmas with other folks, that maybe a single mom that didn't qualify to get, the giveaways. Mm-hmm. Then, they would always share with whomever. And I had experienced a little difficulty with having leisure time. When I first opened the Catch, it was 7 days, 17 hours a day. Pretty much, yeah. Oh, I could go to sleep standing up, talking to you just like that.
She slept on the pool table a couple nights.
Seriously. And then sometimes I would try to drive home. Other times I would sleep on the pool table or wherever and get up in the morning after it got light and then go home. But I could wake up at the lights, when the light would change and I'd hear a car pull off. And occasionally I'd say, oh no, I can't go another block. Mm-hmm. So I would pull over and try to go to sleep, but then, be too afraid to, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to stay there. So I would go another few blocks. But anyway, long story short, I did not deal well with having spare time and nothing to do. And at a time when the club would be such that everything was running without me, basically, then I would throw something else in. I even opened up a Catch One in Houston.
Oh my gosh!
And I used to commute back and forth with that. That was like from 1981 to 1983. I did that, and then when I was in Houston, I was only open like a couple of days a week on Fridays and Saturdays. So then a Dairy Queen became available right next door. So then I opened up Mom's Big Burger.
And there you go.
I can't.
Why
I
not?
can't do. I know.
I did.
I don't understand.
Of course, I just decided to open a burger
A
joint.
little more bookkeeping.
I know.
Why not?
When I had a few minutes, I'd fly back to LA and take care of the business, because this was before the, fax and all this. You could send documents over, through the air now. But
All along
So
while
it
being
was
a
that.
target. I mean, they stopped her in the airport coming back from Houston one time and shook her down because they were like, oh, you're carrying drugs, I mean, constantly harassed.
Constantly harassed, and you
Wow.
basically own a nightclub. I mean, was that as far as I know, that's not illegal.
No.
It
this
was just
is-
because the people that you were allowing in your nightclub.
Well, when I first opened, they brought up that point that there were prostitutes and there were dope dealers and that, and I said, yeah, you're probably right.
Any way to shake you, any way to
Right.
shake your
Right.
faith, your
Oh.
determination. They tried anything to be able to get you to stop.
That was the point.
Hmm
Yeah,
And
thank
then
you.
the resilience that she has within her kept her going, and they tried another way and another avenue. But there's something about that mind that you can't corrupt. There's something about that's in here that you can't get to when you are so driven and so motivated that it keeps you going, even when there's arson, even when they're
Right.
trying to prove something that may be true. Okay, so they may be drug addicts that coming in up in here. That may be, but that's not me.
Right.
And that's not my job.
That's not my
to
job.
find them or
Exactly.
prosecute them or
Right,
turn them over to
right,
you.
right. Yes.
I run a nightclub.
That's right.
I run a
And I
nightclub.
run it according to the law.
According,
too.
exactly.
So,
And Fitz, let me just ask, what beet juice, green juice, herbs were you on to keep up with this dynamic woman
I know. I'm inspired.
for all those years? What were you doing to keep up with her?
Doing everything I could. I did get hooked on the green juice, so that apparently maybe that's the secret. If you eat healthy, I mean, being around her, I learned a lot that way to take care of yourself, and that's really important with the kind of lives that we both lead and keeping up. But boy, oh boy, the last dance when she sold it, we had a big party at the Catch. And, I was at 4:30 in the morning, we're wrapping up, and she's out in the parking lot saying goodbye and, everything,
Wow.
and still running. And I'm like, Jewel, it's so late. Like, how you up so much? How do you do it? But, yeah, incredible.
I gotta
Wow.
get that green juice recipe.
it's easy.
Okay.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
How did you feel at the last dance when it was 42 years, it was time to sell it, and you knew it because you said your inner voice told you when it was time to go? How did it feel? How did that feel that night? And then even how did it feel the next day when you woke up?
That night I was kind of in a zone and really not getting the whole idea of this was the last dance, and I was out there, still trying to do my little two-step stuff. And then after, the doors were closed and I was there, it was like, okay.
It's time. Oh, wow.
That's a lot. That was a lot of your life.
Fortunately, I had the clinic next door still to wake up to the next morning, and I'm a working CEO. I do 3 days a week of acupuncture, herbs, nutritional counseling, and advocating for folks. That's my biggest job and my biggest pride in being able to have learned enough and still learning enough so that I can do more than just Chinese medicine to folks, but help them be able to find their way to better health and give them some tools to do that with. And the recipe of the green juice.
Get that green juice recipe.
Yes,
I want that
that's
green
it.
juice recipe.
But now it's a whole green soup thing. Now.
Oh, I can get some soup too?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm down.
hey,
I'm
hey.
definitely down.
It's raw, it's green.
Oh, I'm definitely down. And how did you, I mean, we talk about it all the time. Business is business. And a lot of time, especially in today's economy, we all talk about the bottom line and we want to make sure we're making as much money as we can. And actually, we've even seen some pharmaceutical companies that are making money off of people as much as they can. And then here you come doing a clinic and you're helping people and you're more concerned about their health than the bottom line. What made you make that decision? Because don't get me wrong, I mean, we live in LA, you can charge tons of money for these services, and there will still be people knocking down the door. What made the difference for you?
Well, a couple of things happen to always teachers come in and that inner voice will come in and because when I was in acupuncture school at the age of 56, graduated when I was 60.
I love it.
Yeah, and
graduated.
Love it.
And celebrated my graduation and 60th birthday with going to the professional women's basketball camp.
What juice for you? I'm telling you, Fitz.
More green juice.
You pick somebody to follow.
So
I went out to dinner on my birthday.
I was named the most inspirational person at the camp.
I'm sure you were.
There were much better players, though. But yeah, it's having to do what you do, and never letting greed overcome the heart.
See, that's another one. Never letting greed overcome the heart.
And so I feel for these folks that come in, you know, especially our African American elders in that you know come in with a bag full of drugs and still hurting and in pain and with canes and all that stuff, and then I have to share what it is that I was given to do, you know, for myself. You know, I'll be 78 next week, and it's about just wanting to pass that on. I have this thing that promise I've made to myself was when the time does come, I don't want to have left anything that I know unshared with other folk.
With others, yeah.
So
Because it is education.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
definitely.
what we just don't know, and we only know what the doctors tell us,
right,
which is pharmaceuticals and drugs, and it just puts a Band-Aid. It doesn't heal from the inside.
Doesn't heal anything.
Yeah.
78, you say? Yeah. I'm definitely getting that green suit.
Happy birthday.
So
yeah, thank you.
I want as many people as possible to see this fantastic documentary. Fitz, where are you guys going next? What film festivals? Where can they find it?
Sure. Facebook, we have a list of our up-and-coming film festivals. Jewel and I are actually going to Portland, Oregon, which is great. And we'll be there on the 19th of May. And then Toronto Inside Out, and that is going to be June 4th. But there's a few festivals across the United States and beyond, actually. Barcelona.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we don't have a date for that yet, but again, Jules Catch One documentary on Facebook. We post as soon as we know, so we can tell everybody.
And did you win big in Boston? I think
we did. We just won Best Doc. Thank you, Boston. Thank you, Boston. And then hopefully we'll get distribution. That's the next step that we're working on, distribution, and working very hard at that. There's a lot of great music in it, so that's the next step is cracking that nut, and there's a lot of great interest. So we've had a very successful so far film festival circuit. We really appreciate everyone that's supporting us. And then now we're writing a scripted version of it. There's a lot of interest, and the green juice will be in there.
I was gonna say the green juice,
the recipe. So the green,
and if I could be like an extra in this script, so I can just look at the character who's playing Jewel and just be like, oh my gosh, you're amazing. I totally do that for free. Don't even worry about it. That would be amazing.
We're excited.
We can find you. You said 3 days a week at the clinic.
Yes.
And where's the clinic located? Because I'll probably see you sometime this week. So I'm gonna write this down too.
And I'm going with her.
It's a couple of doors west of the Catch. The original clinic was right next door. Then the new one is right next door to the original. So the address is 4077 West Pico Boulevard.
Okay.
Oh wait.
And there's parking.
Nice.
There's parking behind. There's street parking. We treat, most people think of acupuncture as just being about pain management, but as I mentioned before, we do nutritional counseling, mental health counseling, because in Chinese medicine it's all tied in.
All together.
And there's no beginning or end to the physical, the spiritual, and the emotional. So I'd invite everybody to come, and those of you that are here in LA, of course, I want you to come and see us. We've got some dynamic acupuncturists there, and like I said, we treat colds, flus, asthma, you name it, in addition to the lower backs and pain.
I love it. I am so honored to have met you.
It's amazing.
I am just so happy. Thank you. Just both of you have inspired me.
Yeah.
I'm so inspired.
And Fitz, on the Facebook page, just in case we have this rich benefactor who's watching.
Yes.
Who wants, see, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, please.
And so since we're going to put it out there, we're going to claim it.
Yeah.
If we have that rich benefactor out there who goes to your Facebook page, is there contact information so people can get in touch with you, so they can talk distribution and everything about everything that's going on.
Yeah, c.fitz@mac.com. There you go.
You got it.
There's your contact. But yeah, no, help us save history. Right? It's a big part of history and inspire a lot of people. As you can see just from this interview and being at the film festivals, it's really been a joy. People leave so inspired to do something in their own neighborhood. It's pretty cool.
Is the street by where the Catch Club was, is that being named after you? Because
we're on the watch list.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're
It might be.
It might. I was gonna say, wait a minute, I gotta get on this campaign because you need a street named after you because you are walking history. But your story's not done yet.
Right.
So I am just blown away.
Yeah.
Ladies, thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you for having us, too.
So amazing. I am Tara Johnson, and you can find me right now. I'm a little misty, but you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at TJ Wagner Tail and Ashida.
Ashida Onrae, Ashida Onrae, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
And all your social media tags should be on the YouTube clip and also be able to find it on Black Hollywood Live. Aww. Thank you so much for being here. Such a pleasure.
Make it easy.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being here. And like I said, if you need to take inventory of what you're doing on a daily basis like I am, there's a lot you can do in 24 hours if you just get it done. Remember, you got to be patient and you got to persevere and listen to that inner voice. So until next week, Ashida and I will be back to inspire you once again. Have a good one.
From executives Kevin Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio. Instagram me at KingXOBay.
Just listening.
Thanks for tuning in.
I'm fascinated.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.